Does anyone listen to Catholic radio? Listen to the Patrick Madrid show specifically?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, well, I thought maybe more of us would. Anyway, he has a thing with Taco Tuesday, and I'm thinking if we invited him, he would probably come because we meet on Tuesdays and there are tacos here. Don't you think, Patrick? I think we need to add him to the email list, and but we just need to put Taco Tuesday at the very top, and I think he would be here. If you have anything to write with, just jot down any questions you might have about sales that come to your mind that you could just kind of put off to the side. There'll be a part in the middle that we're going to start a discussion on maybe some of the things that you're doing, some things that are working, some things that you have some questions on, and we'll do my best to get those answered. But of course, you'll have my contact information, and I'm one of those people that you can just be driving down the road and pick up the phone and give me a call and ask a question at any time, and I will happily take that call. So I want to say also before we get started, Michael Tilden, if all of you know who he is who originally invited me to this group. So again, it's about the networking, it's about sharing, it's about talking. That's really all sales is people liking you, trusting you, and wanting to spend time, and then here we all are together to do business and build friendships. So this presentation is broken up into 3 parts: selling yourself, selling business, and selling the faith. I use that word, although a lot of people don't like that word. I feel, my thing is over here, but I feel connected to this. Is this okay? Okay. So kind of bear with us as we go. There's little nuggets inside of it all, but it is kind of all clumped into 3 different parts. So we'll first talk about what is selling. A lot of us, and we even heard during the introductions, I don't like to sell. I don't like salespeople. I don't want to be sold to. And I would prefer if I never had to sell anything. So we'll define what selling is and what selling isn't. Selling is the ultimate form of communication. Truly, it is more than anything else listening and serving. We really can't sell if you're doing it properly without fully understanding what someone needs. What selling is not is telling them whatever it is that you think you need to tell them in order to get them to do what you want, and convincing and at any cost. And I think that's what a lot of us still associate that word to. So here's how we sell ourselves. And I want to say first and foremost that selling ourselves is really all of sales, even though there are some very nuanced tactics that people talk about as to how to do better. The main thing is that people want to engage with you. Now, the coolest part about communication that we sometimes get all worried about, what are we going to say, how are we going to say it, the timing, and when do I bring up price, and how do I invite someone to church, and I have this fundraiser and I need to sell tickets. And we worry all about that. The most important thing is how we're feeling inside and the way we're connecting with that person when we talk to them. So we open that door to be able to share more information and communicate further and continue that engagement. So how we do that, and I put up here, this really helps it get tangible. 7% of what we communicate to people is in the words that we say. So how many of you have a job where you have to introduce yourself, go to events, show up, people ask you, what do you do? What role do you have? Do you do those things? Okay, like thumbs up. Do you look forward to those? What am I going to learn? This is going to be fun. Don't make me do it. I dread this. Don't ask me what I do. It depends on my mood. The best way to go into these events and these situations is thinking to yourself the things that you need to call up that make you feel successful, that make you feel grateful, that make you feel joyful. Sometimes it can just be the weather walking in like it is today. But then, of course, breathing. A lot of times when we have anxiety, we can turn it to excitement immediately just by taking a deep breath, and where you almost feel the Holy Spirit kind of come through and release the blocks and make you feel more grounded and able to show up as yourself. So really important when we're selling is knowing your audience. And we all know this. I had an event, I saw this firsthand when a comedian showed up to a chamber, the formal annual chamber dinner, and she was very, very funny. But because of the mixed bag you have at a Chamber of Commerce annual dinner, it wasn't for everyone. So that was one of those know your audience. I don't think there'll ever be a comedian at that chamber ever again. But when we walk in too, it's taking a deep breath, it's feeling good, and how can I relate to the people that are here? Did any of you do that on your way in today? Just acknowledging what you have in common with this room and knowing that, okay, we have this in common. I know I'm gonna have to stand up and introduce myself, but here are some things that we can do to start the conversations. When you're in a pinch, FORD, it's an acronym. Has anyone seen this acronym before? You can do it this afternoon. FORD stands for Family, Occupation, Recreation, and Dreams. If you don't like going into these situations, or you're sitting down for a sales consultation and you need to decompress a little bit and just be able to engage with someone, have a generic question you could ask anyone about their family, about their occupation, recreation, and dreams. And then when you're one-on-one, just depending on which one you feel like connects, feels the most relevant or comfortable, just pull that out and start the conversation. I think maybe there's one or two of you that I know pretty well that I may have shared this story with. Did I tell any of you about my best friend who died for me? So this is Jesus Christ, my best friend who died for me. The reason I tell you this story, I was asked this by my friend Patrick, and I had the exact same response you all did. It was like my blood ran cold. It was like I was frozen. I had this feeling like, oh my gosh, someone passed away and I can't even imagine what he must deal with carrying that. And I wonder where this friend came from and everything. I felt it. And then when I knew it was Jesus Christ, I chuckled. And then I had another kind of experience. What happened there was a hook. What happened there is it created a feeling that allowed someone to, and allowed me to engage in a way and make it more memorable. When we're selling things, when you look inside of your business right now, you're so good at what you do and you've been doing it for so long, you probably forget to have some fun. You know what you have, you know what they need cabinets, they need their carpets clean, they need something. But it's where is the fun? Where can we connect emotionally, tell a story, and make it memorable so the next person that comes in to do the cabinets or clean the carpet just doesn't make the same impression. And those are some of the things that we can think about. I was invited to an event and I asked a friend of mine, Michelle, to go, and we didn't know, this fan is blowing heat. So if you wonder why I'm almost out the door, it really is like a space heater. And I want to be over there, but my clicker is right here. So, but Michelle and I are at this event, and there are these people asking us what we did and doing the whole introduction thing. And she's standing right here, and she said, I am a professional shopping cart wrangler. And I'm kind of chuckling, and I like to pretend I'm living in a funny movie. So I'm like, oh, this one's great. I'm going to just play along. So she kind of takes that for a minute, and then she says, I sell commercial insurance, but it's really boring, and no one cares. And then they, guess what? They want to hear about commercial insurance. So it's really impactful to be able to engage, and no matter what it is that you're doing, there is a way to do that. So our takeaways right now with selling yourself that you can see is woven into the fabric of every single thing that you have, no matter how fancy, cool, disruptive your technology, your product, your service is. This is the most important. So positivity. This is the time when you talk to yourself the way God would talk to you as a son or daughter of God, right? When we're walking in, when we get out of our car, we remember and be mindful of the way God would speak to us. And that's the person that we take into our sales meetings and our networking events. We relate, we laugh, we smile, we remember that sales is not having the perfect close, the features and benefits. It's about listening and serving. It's a problem-solving job, is really what it is. And we turn anxiety into excitement by taking a breath. And then we remember forward, which we can just kind of have in our back pocket this afternoon, and then we know that's our way out of awkward anytime. So selling inside of your business. This is where we're going to open it up to a conversation. And during the time between when Patrick was sharing and I had a great conversation at my table. And it was neat hearing about Paul's transition and how the things he's selling has changed. And then Fernando and Mara, correct, were sharing. And one major thing that came out that is not on this slide is goals. And sales is run by numbers. And knowing our numbers is so, so important. And knowing goals is so important. And I thought, oh my goodness, I have a business, the revenue partner. It's the one thing we do is we manage, track, and report numbers all the time. And yet it's not on this slide. And I was so impacted by your story of having put a number in front of you and then without fail, becoming solely focused on that goal and seeing that come to fruition. So during the conversation, if you want to share more on that, but we'll discuss this slide and then we're gonna talk sales. This is a very brief little snapshot to get your minds thinking, and all of these everything up here is a day workshop if we were to go deep in all of them. But first of all, marketing and sales. Even in the industry, sometimes we have to stop and decide what is marketing and what is sales. Who knows what marketing is? Or wants to share? Yeah.
I think I remember this from college.
Yeah, good.
Is it product, placement, price, and promotion?
Yeah, that's a great way of explaining it. Mine's even a little more simple, but yes, exactly. All of those things are taken into. I'm impressed. Although college doesn't look like it was that long ago, if that was class last week or something. But anyway, who else? Marketing. What's marketing? The difference between marketing and sales.
One of the most important things you have listed there, I think, is what do I solve? What problems do I solve? That's how to approach it. If you're not solving somebody's problem, they're not going to be interested. So you got to show them how you're going to be able to solve their problems.
Yep, that is such a great point. And marketing, we don't necessarily solve problems. Marketing is lead generation. It's where we find that niche in the marketplace. We know who we want to talk to. We know where they spend their money. We know what they wear. We know who they talk to. We know what they like. And we go and we share information with them to hopefully attract them and bring those leads in. So that's really, there are so many levers you can pull in marketing, but I put it in a box of lead generation. Get me someone to talk to. And the sales team says, okay, we have the leads, now we have these prospects, and we want to move them to customers, right? So they get us someone to talk to. Now with this group, a lot of where we find people to talk to are strategic partnerships, what we call lumberjacks at the revenue partner, and centers of influence. Those all kind of the same thing. Those are the people, this is what we're doing right now, are finding who we can have strategic partnerships with, lumberjack center of influence. So that's one thing we can talk about, where you're finding people to talk to. A lot of sales reps, the ones that they call hunters, there are account managers and there are hunters. The hunters are out looking for those strategic partnerships. Then we go to the what is important. These are just 3 things that are important in sales. Having a process, tracking the progress, and reporting the process. That which is tracked improves. That which is tracked and reported improves exponentially. So having the process, tracking the process, and reporting it is very important. And then knowing, like Paul was saying, what problems do you solve? And then the how. We do this through networking. We do it through phone calls, in-person visits, email, social media, and a variety of other ways. So now I want to just open it up to a conversation. What's working for you? What questions do you have with anything that's up here or not? Are any of you in a bottleneck right now where you feel like the business is stuck? Sales, of course I'm going to say this, sales is the lifeblood of every organization, but truly without revenue, it's hard for anything else to happen, right?
So the question I have, Jen, is we're at a point where we're by year number 3 of our business. We brought in 2 full-time sales guys. I kind of did a little bit of sales and I meet with customers and do a bunch of other things, but we tried to bring in a sales manager last year. It didn't work really well. We thought he was qualified, but it didn't end up working out. The question I have is, how important is it to have somebody in that sales manager role, and like, what should they really be doing? Should they be out selling? Should they just be teaching other people how to sell? Like, what have you seen as a good use of that?
That's great to decipher what a manager's role is. Depending on the size of the organization, a manager can sit at the top and do nothing but look at that CRM and track the numbers and report them up. That's not so much what we're talking about here. We've got some feet on the street, but we have someone that the numbers matter. That person who's managing should, yes, there should be one person in charge of kind of overseeing the whole thing. What their focus should be is knowing what the numbers are, what those leading indicators are, so the activity is being done, that first domino is being hit, so you know if there's this much activity, you can anticipate this much revenue coming in. That's one piece that they should be worrying about. The other piece is high-level strategic partnerships. What do you do? Please.
So I pretty much right now I'm field supervisor, so I meet with a lot of clients, I meet with insurance adjusters, but I'm also looking to possibly take on that role that is open in our company right now for a sales manager. So I'm wondering, like, and I also go to networking events and like create partnerships.
Mm-hmm. Roofing.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So.
Okay. Thank you. So there are certain strategic partnerships at a higher level that might be someone you would want to meet, perhaps a developer, high-end commercial real estate, some residential. I'd have to know a lot more about your business. But there are a lot of strategic partners that you could meet in a room like this. And then there are, inside of a room like this, possibly someone who is or can open the door to something at an even more sophisticated level, where they're going to want to know more nuanced things about your business, and you may even be able to put a financial deal together in order to create a partnership, so you can actually pull that lever from a sales perspective and say, okay, this is actually a place we can generate revenue. So it's managing the feet on the street just from a numbers perspective, and then really looking at where you can build those strong relationships, sitting down, having lunch, and putting a focus on that. And there really aren't usually very many of those, but they can really make an impact. What else? Yeah.
I would say it's probably very important too in sales. I think you probably agree that it's like there's, 25 people in this room. It's not about just them and what they can bring to you, but it's all their connections. So I think that's a big thing as far as sales goes, to draw upon all their networks, just to broaden those partnerships and make those partnerships bigger and broader. I think that's a big piece too, that you kind of talked about with the partnerships.
It is, and it's a really good point. The revenue partner does two things, but the one thing we have outside of the two main things that we do is a workshop where we cover what Patrick's talking about, because it is so very important. And it's over there in the where is what Patrick's talking about, and we call them lumberjacks. And I'll give you this analogy if you want more about it, how to nurture this buying system, just call me. But we call it the lumberjack buying system because we think of it this way. There's the forest. The forest is your target market. It's exactly who you want at the school or in the organization or in this parish, or to be buying your product or service. It's that ideal person, okay? That's your target market, is the forest. And then we have the outside wood pile, the inside wood pile, and then on the fire. So it's a little sales process. It's just an analogy to get your mind going. So what the lumberjack is, which is what Patrick was mentioning, it's having access to other people's networks, building that relationship to where then they open up their network to you and they refer you business. Advocates like you, they will send you business if hey, do you know one person that would like what it is that the experience you had? And then I think, oh yeah, I'll ask Kathy when I see her later, and that's an advocate. A raving fan is someone who sends you business without you even asking. They just know, like, and trust you. They believe you deliver a superior service, and they're going to send you business over time. That's what we're looking for, are those raving fans. And here's how we start by thinking about it. Who right now is having lunch with your ideal client? What industry are they in? Is this someone that you know? Maybe does a name pop to mind? Does an industry pop into your mind? So these are what we would call our lumberjacks. They are in the forest right now. They've been out in the forest. They're in that target market. They've chopped down the wood. They're sitting at lunch with the person we want to meet. So those would be our lumberjacks. And you can also think of it, because remember, selling is serving. Flip it. Who do you know wants to know someone in this room? Who could create a steady stream of potential clients if they had coffee with someone else in this room? And that's a way, you can think of it both ways. But at first, when if that's not familiar, sometimes it gets all jumbled, and that was kind of off the cuff, so perhaps not explained very well. So please reach out if you want to know how that goes, because it's a big process and there's a lot of depth to it. But thank you, Patrick. Let's see, what else do we have? I think we have a little more time. Yeah.
So I'm at a point where I have something I piloted. I think it works, and now I need to go take it and sell it. So I need to start. I think I need to start. I went to a conference this past weekend. It was a total waste of time for me. I thought it would be good for networking, and it just wasn't. And I think what I need to do is just start calling people, which I'm terrified of because I hate that. So do you have any tips on how to just cold call somebody and do a pitch? Or would it be better to just, I'm a writer, I work with writing, so if I could just send a letter, that would be my preferred way, but I have a feeling that's probably not effective.
It can be, but yet we have to do it all together. So your letter and your good writing has value, And writing a script, it'll really have value when you get on the phone, because we do a lot of calling at the revenue partner. We pull a lot of levers because, for one, and we know this because we're all consumers, we don't answer on the first call. We're not at the office when they stop by. We might have said hello, but we forget. We say we'll check the email, but we don't. So it's good to stack your activities. So without knowing what your product is, that's very exciting. I just want to congratulate you because you've come really far, and you're just at a really exciting time to now go to market and start making money. So that's fun. The phone calling is important. The script writing is key. What you say in the first 10 to 15 seconds matters. I know this because I've done it wrong so many times, and we've done it right. Just this week, I think we made 53 calls on one client with some new, very disruptive technology that a lot of people haven't seen. It's in the safety industry, into oil and gas, trucking, anything industrial, manufacturing, that type of work. 3 people were interested, but we didn't get any of those on the calendar that are scheduled for a variety of different reasons, and I think we'll probably get 2 appointments out of those 3. You start getting to know these numbers. But you can absolutely convert over the phone. If anyone tells you people don't answer their phone anymore, they're wrong. People do, and it's possible. And the best thing, when I was late coming in, or later than I wanted, because I was on the phone explaining to someone that I'm going to call them back. Then we're going to send an email. I'm going to have the email ready to go with the calendar link. So I'm going to leave the voicemail, hit send, and then that's going to happen tomorrow. And if they don't respond, if they don't call back or schedule, they're getting another call on Monday or Tuesday. Every situation is different, but there's a cadence to it. And I bet your good writing will put together a really good script. 2 of these accounts are in Denver. I will grab cookies and I will walk in and say hello too. So that's another way to share your product with people.
Do you ever just walk in without them before?
Oh yes.
You just show up.
I love it. I love it. It's one of my... Exactly. And I'll tell you, to give you the confidence to do this, if you don't like to just walk in, and a lot of times there's the no soliciting and all of that, and it's not as easy as it used to be. But I went in, I was wanting to meet with someone who was a developer. On Highway 36, they pretty much own the south side of Highway 36. Great family, great business. I went in with snacks because that's what I do, and asked to talk to this person. I'd been in 3 times, and then I finally got the meeting. And when I showed up, there were 6 people there because I was bringing a bunch of people together to put a deal together. Guess what this guy who runs this big development, he brought what I brought into him. He ate the cookies and everything else, but he brings it in and he said, "This works. This reminds me of how we used to do it." And this is someone really sophisticated that you think, oh, it's embarrassing. Everyone respects someone out making a living. People have bad days. I've been thrown out of plenty, but it's really rare, especially now because a lot of people aren't picking up the phone and a lot of people aren't stopping in old school style to just say hi and see how you're doing. So,
I mean, piggybacking off what you were just explaining, have you noticed since the world's so focused on technology that has even more of an impact now than it might have had, 15, 20 years ago? Just being personal, showing up, and even unannounced, just to meet someone face to face.
Yeah, it really does. It's made a difference in the mindset of sales reps. And there are better words to use, but I just say sales because we all know what it means. It's changed the mindset of sales reps because their consumer behavior has changed a little bit. So they think everyone else. I just shop on Amazon. I don't even go to the mall. So why would anyone talk to me? I don't want to talk to anyone. And it's planted these seeds, and there's never been a better time to get out of your car and say hello to someone as right now, because no one's doing it. And so it's all in this style. There's so much more to that, but call me. We'll talk about all of it with your sales guys. So this is really important to go over. Facts tell, stories sell. Anytime you can tell a story. Do you remember the funny girl who wrangled shopping carts more than you remember what I said on the first slide? Yeah, right. Hey, Patrick, what was on the first slide? Thank you. So anytime you could tell a story, tell a story. Here's a simple formula for telling a story, and this is pretty much with all of your offerings. Once you find out these are the solutions, these are the problems I solve, have a story for those problems you solve. We had this client, this is what happened to them, then we navigated all of this, and here's the solution, here was the result, here's now they're happy, life is good. Characters. First thing, you have your characters. It's you, it's another person, it's a team, it's two sales guys and a manager. They have a crisis, they have a crossroad, they have a dilemma, they have an experience. That's another part. So here's who's involved, here's what was going on. Started navigating, they called us. You know, they came to our school, they tapped into the resources of our organization. And then this was the solution we implemented for them. And here are the results. Everyone is happy. Don't you want to do it too? Right? Nothing stays the same. You tell your stories to people so they can relate and they can put themselves, it's always about them, right? They can put themselves in that story. That's the whole objective. I have a belief that nothing stays the same ever. Which means if we're not clear that we are on a positive trajectory, if you can't confidently say things are improving, a lot of times they're going the other way without us realizing it. So, and this is true in our personal relationships, business, our hobbies, our health, our nutrition, our parenting, our spiritual life, right? If we can't confidently feel like we're on the positive, a lot of times we're slipping. So people inside of their business, whatever solution and problems you solve, they might not know they have this problem, but when you tell them that story, they relate to it and they go, oh, I don't want that to happen. So the cybersecurity is a good example of that. Tell a few that story that came up at cybersecurity. It's like, ooh, that hit home, right? So, takeaway. All right. Are we still good on time, friend?
You're good. Yeah, will you tell everybody about as far as sales go?
Yeah.
You kind of mentioned it a little bit, but tell them about the number of times you can reach out to somebody without them, because I think most people just try 1 or 2 times to get in the door, and quite honestly, you have up to 8 times to reach out to them before they tell you get out of here, because everyone's lives are so busy.
That is so true. 2% of people make a decision on the first time you ever meet them or talk to them. And most don't make a decision until you've had about 6 contacts. I have met with people that there were seasons in my life I would never have had the confidence to keep following up. And now I do. And they say, I'm so glad you stayed on. I'm so glad you kept calling. It's amazing when you feel like you're being a burden and they're like, thank you so much. I'm not ignoring you. We need this, or we need to have the next conversation. And that's ultimately, remember, when you're following up, you're not trying to sell them all the time. You have an objective to get to the next step in your sales process. So try to get the stress of them wanting them to come to the event, join the parish, buy your product or service. And just remember, I just want to get to the next step. That's my only objective for this call. We don't need to go 6 months down the road and try to figure out how I'm going to make this person a happy returning customer. We just need another conversation, or a demo, or a visit to their home, or whatever. Thank you, Patrick. Okay, selling your faith. I have notes, and I'm going to read them because, boy, can I chase some rabbits. And I'd have you all here until 9:30 if I start telling a story about myself personally, and then we get chatting away. So in the spirit of Lent, and knowing that as Catholics and as Christians, our number one goal, and we are commissioned with sharing the faith, right? And so I thought, this really is, for some of us, we can go out and sell products and services all day long. But if someone asks us about our faith, or we're headed to men's group or a women's retreat, and we're leaving a business meeting, and that's where we're headed, we really don't want to tell the person, because that kind of, I don't know if I really want to share my faith or let them know. We can do it. And we're going to use the same tactics we're going to use for everything else. So I just came into the church on March 30th of 24, so coming up on 1 year. So on November 4th of 2020, I was given a rosary. I prayed the rosary for a little over 40 days, and something changed. I was baptized at 12 in Iowa, where I'm from, in a non-denominational church. And from there, did some Fellowship of Christian Athletes in high school. I went to church here and there. I have a wonderful family, but the Christian faith wasn't deeply rooted in our home. So I was exploring, and I looked at all kinds of religions and faith, and I got caught up in some New Age for a while, thinking that some of that was interesting. And in 2018, 19, right in there, I started taking my 2 boys to an evangelical church. They were 15 and 11 at the time. And for myself personally, and this is kind of looking in the rearview mirror, I was really disconnected in a lost and broken world. So pretty uncomfortable, really, from the day to day. And I didn't know it, but was hungry for a sense of peace. What is this all for? And not that all that has gone away, but really hungry for that deeply grounded feeling of peace. And in retrospect, I was getting caught up and beat up by the UBU, whatever makes you happy movement. It wore me out, being in control. So in 2019, I was in a relationship, had a friendship in which his mom passed away, which kind of ignited this desire to get back into the Catholic faith. I knew nothing about Catholicism. I had been to Mass one time with a college friend. My best friend from Iowa State took me to Mass once, and I had been to a few weddings in Catholic churches, but I really didn't know. But at the time, and I still really like learning, so I started to peel back the layers of the Catholic faith, and it was like getting the toothpaste back in the tube, I couldn't unsee and unlearn some of the things that came about while learning and starting to attend Mass, sitting in the back, not knowing, and then telling some people, I went to Mass. Oh, you went to Mass, huh? Sit, stand, shake a hand, sit, stand, shake a hand. And I thought, they're missing it. I don't know what's going on, but they are definitely missing it because I found something very reverent and something special there. But I was given I was given a rosary. I prayed it for a little over 4 days. The ironic part, which you will probably understand if you have prayed the rosary, I got this on my mom's birthday, which I found to be very interesting. And that's a whole other piece, but it became extremely special. I started and stopped RCIA 3 times. So from 2020, when I was gifted a rosary, I was in, I was out, I was in, and it was a relationship, and really I was pursuing, it had to get my heart. It had to feel like the right thing, because for my family and for my, I remember being told, once you're Catholic, you're always Catholic. I was like, so this isn't like, I go to the gym, or, I'm a runner and I'm not a runner anymore, or, I'm a vegan and I decided I'm gonna get a burger. No, it's once you're a Catholic, you're always a Catholic. So that really stuck with me. And once it captured my heart, then I came into the church. So a lot happened from 2020 to today, which I'm happy to share with you at any time. But the picture down on the bottom of the result and what's come of this is I am now part of a group, the School of Community, which is a movement that's led by Father Giussani, done Christ in the City. That's downtown with feeding the unhoused down on the second Saturday, I think, is when we go do that. So many friends I'm so grateful for. Daily Mass, adoration, confession, the Eucharist, all of it is so special, and it's had such an impact. So all I know is I'm not disconnected anymore. There's a sense of peace and hope that I didn't know was possible in this earthly life. It's like being lost still, but being lost with your best friend. So it's not quite as scary. And it's knowing that if you really work together, you're going to come up with a solution. You're going to find your way out, and having that type of confidence now. I don't really know how people do life without having a friendship with Jesus. And I do pray every day that every soul finds that level of hope. So all I know is that I had so much fear because I thought I was in control. And now I still feel the fear, but I know that the obedience to the Word of God and trusting to trust that the voice of God helps provide contentment and helps eliminate some of the stress that used to be there. So this is the friend with the very best advice. It will not lead you wrong. And this story, friends, is the story of all I know. When you're sharing your faith, and here's the challenge. So during Lent, and I've given myself this challenge, and I appreciate you allowing me to practice. I can make it a lot quicker and more succinct when I'm more comfortable with it. But this is the all I know story. Here's where I was, and this is how we share our faith. Here's where I was, and all I know is I'm better now. You have to come check it out. Come to the women's group, come to men's group. Invite them somewhere, have coffee, whatever it is that can help save them. Or maybe just give them a little bit of peace that they needed. So, and honestly, your story can be, I was here, and all I know, I did this, and all I know is now I'm here. That can be the story, and it can be 20 seconds. Go ahead. You have a question? Okay, great. So, looking at sales, looking at ourselves, our business, and our faith, the most important thing when we're done is a call to action. Ask for what you want. And asking for what we want isn't necessarily pulling out the agreement or asking, get your phone out, I'm going to send you the DocuSign right now. It's just saying, hey, would you like to give it a try? Hey, would you like to go have coffee? Would you pick up this book? Would you come to this meeting? Just know in your mind what your objective is, and don't be afraid to ask. And have that call to action. How often have you been with one of your pals or someone is telling you about something and you're like, I kind of want to try that? Whether it's a new vitamin or a workout class, and you're like, invite me to your workout class. Or I want to go for a walk with you and learn more about what you were just talking about. Ask me to go for a walk or happy hour. You're thinking this. So as a salesperson or as a person who's out serving, serve them. Ask. Give them the opportunity to lean in and take that extra step. And 10 till. Nailed it. Yes.
Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Alberto.
Yeah, when do you, so if you have to put it like from, in perspective of, percentage, when do you talk about money with the customer?
Oh man, I had a manager that if you talked price before, you could not talk price until 3 appointments. If you talk price, you're dead. Talk price, hey, they got me in this pickle and I shared, you're dead. It's done. Get it out of the pipeline. It depends on what your business is. So I would have to know a little bit more. In some cases, if you are ever in a bid situation, if you are competing for business between one other or 5 others, and this is whether you you meet with them in person and give them an assessment, or you submit into a portal where everyone puts their bids and then they read over the scope of work and price and then they pick one. Regardless, do not share price if you can help it. And if it's a situation where they go out for bid and you're submitting, find someone who can help you write that bid that knows them. Otherwise, don't waste your time with it. Because it can take a lot of time to write up a scope of work in a bid, and then you just throw it into, and you've spent a weekend writing this bid, and then they already know who they're going to go with, or someone else has the relationship and they know, oh, they want these features, they need this margin, and you're just like so in the dark.
Follow-up question on that, because we're both in the service industries where we go to people's homes and write bids and things like that. Should you have some level of commitment from them before you even go into that process of saying, okay, we'll work together if these things are met, these conditions are met, and then we'll provide a bid. Should you have some kind of tie-down or commitment before you start writing bids?
The answer is yes, but there are exceptions. But as a rule of thumb, if you make business rules, yes, know something before using your time. Your time could just be, time's an invaluable resource, and you could be using it for something else that is be a better odds of closing.
It's personal. Where do you worship? What church you with?
Oh, yeah, Nativity of our Lord up in Broomfield.
Awesome.
And this was my sponsor. Yeah, Nativity was where I was confirmed, and that's where I do daily mass. And
Thank you.
yeah. Yeah.
So Jen, I don't do sales. I got a lot out of your presentation though about convincing people to go along with ideas and things like that. So I'm really glad I attended. But I do get sold to often. I'm in a management position at my work, and I get an email like every 6 minutes asking me for 15 minutes of coffee time. And I think about often I want to be polite and respectful to salespeople, but I don't have a lot of time to to go around. So I ended up doing like speed deletes of just reach outs. Do you have any advice for how I can be respectful to the salesperson, even if I'm not interested in what they're selling or I don't have time for that?
That's great. And no thank, like on an email, no thank you, like cheering best to you. I hope you're successful. The timing's off for me. I'll sit on calls to listen to what they're going to say because I think it's really interesting. But a lot of times I'm the same, you know, it's no thank you, or it's usually like best to you, timing's off. I'm not your customer, but I appreciate the call. And in emails, it's just really quick. And if someone doesn't know you, you can just delete it. There was someone on LinkedIn, this happened one time. They actually they had a way of putting scheduling things on my calendar. And it said we had a meeting and the subject line was kind of alarming. And I thought I forgot something. And I'm like, okay, not only is it a nuisance, but now I'm like almost went into cardiac arrest because I'm thinking I forgot something. And this is like, kind of throws you off your spot. That's bad sales. And those people, you can let them know in a nice way. Bad tactic. So yeah, if they're nice, you probably do a great job. But you can be really brief. We get it all the time. Don't we? Anyone who's out there on the street, on the phone. Yeah, all in a day's work.
I think to your point, you're also doing the service, don't follow up with me, no thank you, you don't have to spend your time continuing to try to get my attention because you have my attention and I just told you you're wasting your time. Focus it elsewhere.
Yeah. And I have the two guys that call for me, they say, when should we cross them off? I said, when they say no. When you're actually in a buying conversation, when we are down in the sales funnel and we're in a buying conversation, they say no. That doesn't always mean you can't solve their problems. There are ways to work through that, but that is something different. The buying conversation and how to overcome those objections that you're getting is a separate conversation when someone starts giving you the signals of no. But up front, if you walk into their office and they throw you out, it's fine to cross them off the list. And just, there's other fish. Yeah. I have been known to go back, though, when that person leaves, when they don't work there anymore.
A quick general question, in your industry, like, you're like an agency, like a sales agency, is there such a thing as hiring people like you that only get paid if you make them money? Like, is that a thing, or do you usually have to pay up front and then just hope that it works? Like, how does that usually work?
Both ways.
Okay.
Yeah. I've had one client for over 2 years that I have bet with. And that's a story. The others pay a small monthly. It can be worked out with commission and monthlies. Some have paid hourly. You will see a variety of different models, and it has a lot to do with the product or service. But yes, there are people out there, if they believe in what you're doing, it goes back to the slide about selling yourself. And if that's something, we can talk about the best ways to do that, to get someone who has some resources that maybe will bet with you. So, but yes, it's a possible.